Good morning, Kaz. We have Kaz here, Karen Littleton from KazLit Nutrition. I'm welcoming Kaz today to talk to us about nutrition and how that can come into play with those that are living with dementia in their families. So, how are you today, Kaz?
Hello, I'm very well, Lisa. Thank you very much for having me.
You're most welcome. So, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how we can support carers in the food realm or nutrition realm of those that are living with dementia, the people that they're supporting. How do we actually negotiate and work through those channels when we often find it's really hard to feed them sometimes? They become
Mm,
quite picky. What is it we need to talk about, or what suggestions could you provide in that space?
yeah. Well, I guess there's two sides of the story here, isn't it? We have the carers who really need to look after themselves. So I've probably got a few more ideas for them. And then there's the people that are living with the dementia that are struggling to possibly eat. They're having different texture issues, just even just eating is not something they even think about. So
Yes,
if
that's
you want, I
true.
can start with what I think with the carers, and then from that we can just pick out the things that work really well for
That's a
the living with.
mm,
So really simply, what I recommend for everyone is eating a balanced plate. So that looks like having some protein, some carbohydrates, some healthy fats. I look at that from if you're looking at a plate, we want like half of that plate full of vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, and a little bit of a quarter of the plate in protein, and then a quarter of the plate is either our starchy vegetables, so our potato, a carbohydrate, so like a rice or something like that. And you can really use that plate method for anything that you're making. So if you're making a casserole or things like that, it still works quite well to work out the proportions. Then also eating regularly. That's really important for carers because they are caring for someone. So they need this energy on a continual basis. And that does look different for everyone. One thing you would know about me is that I talk about nutrition as a very individual thing. So, what we talk about and what I talk about can be very overarching, but then we really need to get into the nitty-gritty for every person. Uh, and eating regularly also is when do I eat breakfast? When do I eat lunch? When do I eat dinner? For a carer, again, that might not look like 3 meals. That could be smaller meals along the way just to keep themselves going, or that's the timing they have. But when they are eating, and I mentioned in the balance your plate area where we're talking about eating nutrient dense foods. So really that's our whole food. So that's our fruits, our vegetables, our proteins, things that are less processed than our ultra processed foods. And hydration is really important. Any slight amount of dehydration can just infringe what's going on in our body and can inversely affect our stress levels, but also our digestion and things like that, which can then impede on us being able to care for someone.
yes. Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I see that.
so those four things, like, are the really big things that I think for the carers, but they can still take those items when they're feeding the person they're caring for because that person still needs nutrients, they still need hydration, they still need to eat on a regular basis. But I think this next recommendation is probably where it may sort of click for the carer is letting go of perfection. And I guess we were talking about this before we did start recording is the shoulds and the shouldn'ts of how eating looks to people. Most of us have grown up with that 3 meal a day. Nowadays, there also seems to be snacking and stuff like this along the way. But again, that letting go of perfection, I think, is looking at, well, what serves me? So as the carer, can I get up and have a good meal in the morning, or do I have to wait until later? So do I have to have a snack? And maybe that's just a piece of fruit when they get up. And then the person that they're caring for, they might be the first priority when it comes to feeding them. So working out what works for that person. And I guess you've got a really good example with your mum around that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I know mum, especially towards the latter years, was struggling to eat. She couldn't chew properly. She was struggling to digest the food. Getting up in the morning for her, she used to have porridge, which she lasted pretty well for that, which was good because
Mm,
that was quite,
mm,
we could make that quite runny and it wasn't really anything she needed to chew. We always used to put, mum was a bit of a banana lover, so we always used to chop up bananas in there. But then it got to the point where even the porridge texture was quite annoying for her. She felt like
mm-hmm.
it was sticking in her throat. So
Yeah.
then we went
Yeah.
to vitamizing it into smoothies. So she could just sip and drink it at her
Mm,
leisure. She had control of it and she was enjoying something that she loved.
mm,
And
mm.
mum was never really a big vegetable or meat eater, to be honest. It wasn't surprising that was something that she would go for. And she was definitely an ice cream lover. So if she got up in the morning and she wanted ice cream, I was like, okay, you can have ice cream.
Yeah.
Because with that ice cream, we could put in a little bit of bananas, or
Yeah.
sometimes we used to cut up some small strawberries and things like that. So just giving her a
Mm.
little bit of nutrients in the morning and some energy. It's not like they need a lot, I think, because they don't move around a lot.
Well, and that is, I think, a hard thing as well, that yeah, when someone's not moving, the amount of energy that they need is not as much as the carer. But in
Mm.
saying that, they still need energy. Their body is still providing, it's breathing, it's thinking, it's doing all these things, even if they're not moving as much. So
Mm.
it's still that idea of how do we feed them? And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like once they're into a state where they're being cared for and they're struggling to eat, it is almost a little bit of let's give them what they want. But I love that you'd give her ice cream, but then you'd put some lovely fruit with it, which is giving her that fiber and other things that will help her body process those foods.
Mm.
And then the last one, this I bang on about to everyone, is about enjoying your food. So for
Mm.
carers, it's really, really important to be eating food that you enjoy, because caring for a loved one is difficult. I'm in the early stages, not of dementia, but I have a quite an elderly parent who at times can be quite frustrating. He looks after his own food, but he's always a little bit like, oh, I shouldn't eat that. I shouldn't eat that. And I'm like, Dad, you are 88 years old. Eat what you like. And I think as people are aging, and definitely when they're in the midst of a disease or something, enjoy the food. Give them food that they enjoy. And you said that perfectly with your mum, with the ice cream, with the smoothies.
Definitely. And I also hear with the carers, when you say enjoy the food, something I find that everyone, well, not everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but lots of people, we don't actually really think about the food when we're eating
Mm.
it. So, from a
Yeah,
carer's point of view, if they're eating normal meals during the day, it's actually really enjoying tasting that food in your mouth
yeah,
and really
yeah.
allowing it to absorb into your body, and the nourishment, not just from the food itself, but from enjoying to eat the food.
Correct. Yes,
Mm.
yes. And look, with most all of my clients, I go through very simple mindfulness techniques with them. And that can be as simple, because a lot of my clients are more they're on the computer all the time, right? So eating in front of the computers, just stepping away from whatever it is that they're doing. So that can be a little bit harder if you're caring for someone, but if you can just step away from the computer, step away from the persons, even if it's just to step outside for 5 minutes, eat outside if you have to. But just stepping away from whatever it is that you're doing just gives your brain a break. And you can then take it up a notch. You can look at your food, you can smell your food, see what it's doing, and then you can start eating it. Because when you're looking at it, you're smelling it, your body is starting to activate all the bits and pieces it needs to actually digest that meal. Like you were saying, a lot of us now, we just shovel it in and it's gone. So you're not listening to your hunger cues. So you're not knowing if you're hungry or not hungry. If you do that, you may in 30 minutes time go, oh, geez, I'm hungry, but you've just eaten a decent
Mm.
meal. I guess from a carer's point of view, if you are doing that mindless eating, that can lead to overeating, which then can lead to weight gain, and that may not be beneficial to you if you're caring for someone.
Yes, yes, so true. And I think it's
Mm.
just that time factor. They, oh, I have to quickly eat. It's like when you're a
Correct.
young mother, you just kind of snack when you have to snack. And,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
definitely really learning about being mindful of your eating is, I know, something that you really do push with your
Mm.
nutrition and your consulting. And I do appreciate that because it's definitely something that I myself have forgotten about. So it's just having that love back with food and just
Mm.
taking those small bites and really enjoying every moment is super important. Can you tell me about what else KazLit Nutrition offers for, I mean, I know you're giving us a general rundown of here how
Yeah.
your services and what you can provide for people in my situation with the clients that I deal with, but just generally, what sort of other offers do you provide for people outside the community?
Yeah, well, I mean, really, my offers are relevant to all people. Most of my
Mm.
clients at the moment are women over 35. Don't know that any of my clients so far have been caring for anyone, families, things like that, yes.
Except for
But
yourself.
yeah, except for myself. But the stress, yeah, and then I just have my partner in hospital as well. So
You're a
is what I
carer.
do. So I really just help people look at their food and just make a few small tweaks because most people, are eating fairly well. But what I do is most of those clients come to me because they have certain goals that they want to attain. And those are really more around, I guess, what we just talked about. Those 6 things that I recommend is really helping to reduce food stress. Food stress is probably one of the biggest things that people don't recognize now. And I do that through numerous different ways. I have one-off appointments. A client can book a time in with me. We can go through that initial appointment and I can give them a few ideas of what they can do. I also have a women's group program at the moment that is open, and that is a little bit more detailed than working just a one-off appointment, and they go through a workbook. There's lots of detailed, lovely information in there, but very similar. And then my one-on-one program, which is 12 weeks, and it's really about that behavioral change. The group program, the one-on-one, like everything just works off each other, if that makes sense. So you can have a one-off with me and I'll give you some really good tips. We can book in for reviews. The group program offers that group support area as well and other people, not just me as your accountability buddy. And the one-on-one just gives that really detailed information around you over a 12-week period. And if anyone is interested, I also just offer a 30-minute consultation to see where you're at and what you're looking at doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Yeah, it's always good just to have that conversation with someone. It just allows them to be able to share what they're wanting to see whether those services are relevant to them and whether you've got a
Yeah.
bit of a rapport with them. And I'm sure you would have with all your clients when you do that because you're very easy to talk to. I would like to ask you, Kaz, where can people find you? How can we actually look you up
Yeah.
to support not just my carers and my clients, because obviously
Yeah.
I want to be able to have access to you, but the wider
Mm.
community?
Well, pretty much everyone can find me anywhere at KazLit Nutrition. So that's my
Mhm.
website, that's my Facebook, that's my Instagram, that's my LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn is more personal. That's Karen Littleton. Yeah, at KazLit Nutrition is me everywhere.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that information. I really appreciate your time,
You're
Kaz.
welcome.
And I know you are very passionate about allowing people to re engage that enjoyment of food. And I think you say get rid of that guilt feeling of eating the wrong food
Yes,
or the
yes.
bad food. It's really important for everyone to know your message of just having that enjoyment with food and allowing yourself to eat whatever it is you want to eat to nourish your body. And if your body is asking for it, that's what
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
asking for.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my
So appreciate.
program is actually called Nourish and Thrive. So, yes, it's all about nourishing our bodies and thriving every day.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate your time, Kaz, and I wish you well. We'll hopefully speak again about some other topics in regards to nutrition.
Absolutely happy to. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Lisa.